Broncos country, what's going on? It's time. Football is back. It's preseason, which means we're going to be glazing all over this roster from the first string through the fourth string. What are we looking for? Who do we want to see break out? This is an important game, Kodiak. I'm just going to say it's an important game for many people on this roster, and we're going to get into why that is. But guys, welcome Kodiak in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to his channel, smash that like, and get in the comments as well. But how are you doing, Kodiak? We're one day away from Broncos football being back.
Man, I'm doing amazing. Just to see those guys take the field again, I'm just really, really excited for it. Seeing 9 News covering the game, I don't know, something about August, when around this time of year is happening, it's just nostalgic for me. So, yeah, I'm really, really excited. And I just want to say something. I have long been saying that 49ers beat reporters are the worst in the industry. They're the most irresponsible on this planet. And with the amount of corrections that have had to have been made to all the tweets they had about joint practice yesterday, tweeting about how some no-name dude beat Patrick Surtain, then it ends up it was a UDFA practice squad corner. Oh my God, I don't know. All the fantasy players, you guys knew how bad 49ers beat reporters were because they lie to us every year about injuries. They lie to us every year. They lied to us all last offseason about Ayuk and whether he was going to get traded to Pittsburgh. But man. Now they're lying to us about our joint practices. I don't know. It's just funny to me.
Dude, I didn't even notice that. I didn't even know that they were putting out fake news regarding joint practice. Was it that much of a domination from our Broncos in that first period yesterday?
I mean, well, I'll put it this way. Apparently, our defense did amazing against their first team offense for the first 2 11-on-11 sets. So I'll choose to believe that. Everything else that happened was fake.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, everything else, like Pearsall getting that tutty, was fake.
Dude, and I'll just even say, Will Lutz shanking those field goals has to be absolutely fake too. Now, Niner gang, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Let us know kind of the players you're looking to hopefully see some good play out of on the Niner side of things, man. But let's go ahead and get into what I wanted to lead with first, and then we can just kind of go all throughout the roster. But I think that this is an important game for Bo Nix and these new weapons. We have been all over Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin throughout camp. We finally are going to be able to see, at least I think, a little bit of RJ Harvey. But this is a great time for them to perform when it matters the most. We don't want these guys to just be practice players, but what would be a successful game for you from Troy Franklin, from Marvin Mims, from some of these other weapons that didn't get a ton of playing time in Denver last year that are looking to have expanded roles?
Well, when I think about the guys like Mims, Bryant, and Troy Franklin, I just think, I think it's just a collective unit. I just want to see an efficient offense. Last December, we were going on our playoff push, and unfortunately, we just didn't keep the ball long enough in a lot of those games. And I think, you look at those guys, I just want to see them be consistent. I don't want to see them miss the easy plays. I want to see maybe a flash play or two from Troy Franklin where he out physicals a dude. That'd be awesome. But to be completely honest, I just want to see some consistency from the offense. And, with Bo Nix coming into his second year, this should be a team that, honestly, the 49ers defense, they just got a lot of young guys and they lost a bunch of pieces. So our offense should start off really, really hot in this game. What do you think?
I would like us to see this offense go down and score a touchdown. I mean, I'm imagining we only see Bo Nix and some of these starters play like 1 or 2 series. Like that's it. But to me, it's really important. Like I want to see Bo Nix and the operation look smooth. I want to see like simple things that drove us crazy last year just look right. Like Troy Franklin tracking the ball correctly and like making these catches. It seems like he's really turned a corner, but now we got to see it when the lights come on. Now, I would like to see some downfield throws to Marvin Mims that's not just like a go route, like maybe like a deep out or something like that. I don't know how vanilla Sean Payton's going to keep what he's doing on offense with like Marvin Mims, for instance. Then the other thing is with the offensive line, I think that this is the most important thing. I really want to see RJ Harvey and J.K. Dobbins have success on the ground. They've talked a lot, the Broncos staff that is, and the players, about incorporating more wide zone. We got more runners to do that. And the Niners kind of revamping their defense. They still have, I think, some really great pieces on the front seven that you want to make sure you're locking up, man. I want to see us establish a nice run game, run some play action off of that. We don't necessarily need to be doing much towards Cortland or Evan Ingram, in my opinion, but I want to get the young guys feeling confident with this game, so that way when we're rolling into week 1 here in a few weeks, it's just full steam ahead type of thing. Are you how worried are you right now with the offensive line a little bit? You know, there's been some talk about Mike McGlinchey. We'll see if he even plays. I don't know if he's still kind of nursing that knee a little bit, but I'm very interested to watch to see how this entire offensive line performs from the starters through the 3D.
So with the offensive line, with our starting offensive line, I'm calm. The reason I'm calm is because obviously we had one of the best pass blocking units in the league last year, and literally nothing changed. It is very rare that you can keep all 5 starters. And, you know, we're coming into this upcoming year, and honestly, with O-lines, it relies so much on continuity and communication, and it's clear that Zach Strief has us playing very well in that regard. That being said, watching the preseason games from last night and watching backup offensive lines, like, man, Milroe had no time to throw. Jake Browning, the Bengals backup QB, he had no time to throw. And honestly, since defensive linemen are just naturally so ahead of backup offensive linemen, like, I don't know. It's going to be apparently Forsyth, Throckmorton, and there was somebody else who didn't.
Gargiulo.
Yeah, Gargiulo didn't play very well in joint practice yesterday, which I'm not surprised to hear, as unfortunate as that is. But I think the starters, they should have no problem with the San Francisco front. I know Bosa's very good. I know Alfred Collins was one of our favorites. I know. I don't imagine Michael Williams plays after what happened to him yesterday, where he was like limping off the field or carted off. I can't remember. But yeah, no, I'm not worried at all about our starting offensive line. Now, I will be worried if like they're allowing a bunch of pressure, but nah. Right now, no. Backup, yeah, I am a little worried, but that's just the nature of the game. There's no one person that I'm worried about. But, you know, as far as what I want to see break out, I want to see some clay spray pancake blocks. I want to see, which I know you're big on, yeah. And then, I don't know. That's the one guy I really, really, really want to watch on the offensive line.
Yeah, the Clay Webb, cannot wait to see him in game action finally. And yeah, notice one of those guys that wasn't named yesterday and those guards kind of struggling at certain parts of practice. It was not Clay Webb or Xavier Truss, both Georgia Bulldogs at one point in their career. The interior line is something that I'm really going to be watching. Does Forsyth really grab a hold of this backup center position? Do some of these other guys make a very substantial, case to be kept on the 53? I think like right now we kind of have an idea of what our backup tackles will look like, but I think the interior line is still totally up for grabs. And so that's going to be something fun to watch. And you talked a little bit about how in preseason, these backup defensive linemen are just obliterating these backup offensive lines. This is why I'm excited to see Sam Ehlinger probably get the majority of the run in this game, because he'll be able to evade, extend plays, run a bit. But I also think, man, make some great throws downfield to some of our young guys to keep them involved. Are there some names that you got to watch for on the offensive weapon side of things outside of the ones?
I mean, RJ Harvey is obviously the one I'm most excited to see, although he wouldn't really count as like a backup. Outside of the ones, I guess one I'm really, really excited to see. Apparently, he's a preseason legend. Our boy Mark came on Horsepower Hour on Monday night and said that this guy is an absolute monster during the preseason. Guys, A.T. Perry, he's built for the preseason. He's like, if you guys remember that defensive lineman, Vontario Dora, or Kyle Sloter, the quarterback that we had 7 years ago from
Colt
USC.
Hero.
Yeah, from North Carolina. What's it called? Shout out L. Basically, that's A.T. Perry now. That's A.T. Perry reincarnated and put into a wide receiver's body. I don't know if there's a room for him on this 53-man roster, but I'm really excited to see A.T. Perry. As far as the tight end side of things, I think Caleb Lohner should play every single snap of this game. I'm not even kidding. On the first series, yeah, get Evan Ingram out there with him. Get Evan Ingram out there. But you already know what you have with Adam Troutman. So even after you finish running 2 tight end sets all first quarter with Evan Ingram or first series or whatever, as long as the starters are out there, keep Caleb Lohner on the field. You need him to develop with blocking. You need to develop with his route running. So, yeah, basically just keep Caleb Lohner on the field at all times. Got to see what you have in him. Got to get him those reps because he has not played that much football throughout his career.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to see him play the majority of the game. And I'll say this too, just have this 2 tight end combo with him and Nate Atkins throughout most of this game. I still want to see more from Nate Atkins. I think that he still has potential. And I mean, are you going to be rocking the root beer vape shirt like during tomorrow's game? Is that the plan? When are you gonna don that thing?
Well, so I actually won't be able to watch live tomorrow night, but I will when I come home from work. I will watch it back. Obviously, not going to look at my phone. Shout out to airplane mode. And yes, I'm going to be rocking the root beer vape shirt because, if you want to manifest some good stuff from Nate Atkins, which, by the way, that thing I tweeted out earlier in the week, that never happened. Although that is contingent on a real story. That is contingent on a real story that actually did happen. So,
yeah. All caught in iPhone 4S. Rodney's bringing up some points here. I want to see McGlinchey pancake someone. I want to see him looking good 100%. Also bringing up Joaquin Davis. Yes, this is a 6'4", 6'5" wide receiver with 4.4 speed and a 43-inch vertical. He's an athletic freak. I think that we give him a ton of time, hopefully. I just want to see what he can do out there, man. We don't need him running, a bunch of different fancy routes or anything like that, but put him out there with Sam Ehlinger if he's running around, extend the play, man. Just get open, high point the ball, make catches. I want to see Joaquin Davis really make the Broncos have to consider some difficult decisions. And Andrew Mason and Cecil Lammy brought this up on their Orange and Blue Today earlier this morning. Shout out to Marquee Sports for making us aware of this. But Andrew Mason brought up the idea of, hey, does Joaquin Davis make somebody like Devon Vele expendable? If Devon Vele goes off, Kodiak, in this game, what you trying to trade him for? Are you trying to trade him?
I mean, I said it back to you when you brought that up. Like, listen, with Devon Vele, we're just not in a position right now to tear down with our weapons. The only way that would happen is if Joaquin Davis goes for 150 yards in every preseason game to the point where you're just that confident that this dude can be a bona fide stud and replace what Vele brought to our team last year. I think Vele, I would not move him for anything lower than a 3rd round pick. Now, I'm not saying that his trade value is like super duper high or anything like that. He was still a 7th round pick for a reason. That being said, yeah, it does open a spot for Pat Bryant if you were to move on from a guy like Devon Vele. But once again, I think you need continuity. You're in your Super Bowl window. Now is not the time to ship off your weapons for meaningless day 3 draft capital. Like Devon Vele is already what you would hope even round 4 wide receiver to become next year. So I'm just not interested in the re-roll at this point of the year. After the season, we'll talk about it a little bit more. That being said, now, I don't know. I would love for Pat Bryant to show out. I would love for Pat Bryant to, succumb to my prediction of 12 catches, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the first drive
100 yards on the first drive.
Yeah, 100 yards, 12 catches, and 2 touchdowns on the first drive. I know it's impossible for that to show up in the box score, but hey, we'll get a I don't know, illegal man downfield penalty, and we'll get him 2 touchdown catches.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I want to see Pat Bryant lay some guys out in the blocking side of things too. But I'm feeling great about what our young weapons are. I think that I would probably be a little bit cautionary in terms of trading Vele for some of the reasons that you brought up. Now, if we could get a starting caliber, maybe not like a high end player, but somebody who could fill in if we continue to have injuries at linebacker. Yeah, that could be a piece that I'd be willing to flip. But respect my Coes is bringing this up. Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball because we haven't even gotten there. There's a lot to be excited about watching with this Broncos defense throughout the entire game tomorrow. First off, it's got to be Lavelle Bailey. He's going to be starting with Justin Sternad. I don't know how much they'll play with Dre Greenlaw and Alex Singleton out. We are hella thin there. But what do you want to see out of Lavelle? Do you think that he could kind of cement himself as a starter above Alex Singleton with a good performance this week?
Honestly, I don't think the bar is very high for someone to pass a guy like Alex Singleton. Now, I do think he is ultimately going to be on this team. I've been saying since June that I thought Alex Singleton was A, replaceable, B, going to get cut. Maybe I'll walk that back a little bit now since Sanders is hurt and you do need a guy, an adult in the room with all these unproven guys like J.B. Brown, Kareem Reed, but most importantly, Lavelle Bailey. You know, if he balls out tomorrow night, like I would say that his roster spot is safe. I would say that, all right, if he's balls out tomorrow night, we are going to see him basically be treated like a starter for the rest of this preseason, meaning, you know, maybe he gets a series or two next week against, I think, Arizona, right?
Yes.
And then after that, you know, bucket hats, shells, shorts, whatever. But if Lavelle Bailey goes off tomorrow night, I will be bricked up because that is the fruits of a rebuild. And you don't have to spend high investment into an inside linebacker. Lavelle Bailey played very, very well last year. And I think the two guys that have been the most stock up this entire offseason for the Broncos have been Troy Franklin and Lavelle Bailey. So, yeah, that's how I'm feeling about Lavelle Bailey. Like, if we were to, you know, get a Lavelle Bailey, like, forced fumble or anything like that, or, I don't know, a barren pick six or something that, I don't know, I'm just manifesting, like, what would make me the most excited to see tomorrow night. Like, I don't know, what play on the defensive side of the ball would get you the most excited?
Dude, I think definitely a pick six, another pick six from Lavelle Bailey. You know, he had one last year. Let's see him go out and pick off Brock Purdy or freaking Mac Jones. I gotta say, man, I know it's preseason, but I'm gonna be upset if we don't generate at least one turnover off of Mac Jones during tomorrow's game, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like our defensive line, our linebackers, man, we need to get after it now. I gotta say, I'm a bit bummed that, you know, we still can't see what Drew Sanders can do in a game. But Kareem Reed, this is an opportunity for him to really show out. J.B. Brown as well. Like, man, I don't really know what we got at inside linebacker outside of Lavelle Bailey. So we'll have to see. But the defensive line, do you think Hugh Robinson's going to play? I know that he's kind of been working his way back from injury a little bit.
I don't think he practiced yesterday, so I would imagine since it's preseason, they're going to err on the side of caution, which sucks because the 49ers starting offensive line is bad. You imagine Q Robinson against their second string offensive line. That could have been a lot of fun, especially going up against a quarterback like Mac Jones. But I don't know. I think Q Robinson ultimately won't play. Same with that. I think they already announced that Greenlaw won't play. So, yeah, but Damari Mathis, I don't know. We'll see what he does, but Lil Toast, I'm not expecting.
Lil Toast, man. Lil Toast going to pick off Mac Jones. I'm calling it right now.
All right, yeah, Lil Toast picks six off of Mac Jones, and then he bumps his trade value. Then we can actually get something for him. Damari Mathis traded for a McDouble. I mean, at least the McDouble makes you happy.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I believe Whataburger, speaking of just burgers, Whataburger is doing 75-cent burgers today. So I know there's one in like North Denver. So get out there, get yourself a burger. And yeah, let's talk about Barron a little bit, man, because I think that there's been some like quiet concern around him, just not like picking everybody off or whatnot. It seems like we had good feedback or play yesterday from Riley Moss, Pat Surtain. Jahdae Barron also had a sack, I think, was kind of used as a blitzer in one of these situations that Vance loves to do with those slot corners. I'm excited about him. I'm not expecting him to go out and dominate tomorrow, but I want to see him be a short tackler, and I want to see him just moving quickly, man. I don't want to see him, juked out of his socks or like getting his ankles broken on like a certain route or anything like that. I just want him to look like an NFL player, man. I'm not going to be freaking out if he doesn't pick off Mac Jones, but if he does, we might have defensive rookie of the year. That's just how it works.
Yeah, and I'm confident that Barron will work out. Ultimately, I did put $200 on both Harvey and Barron to win their rookie of the year trophies, if you guys remember. But here, I don't think you guys can see what I have on my phone right here, but I said yesterday, I'm not trying to be negative, but is there literally going to be any positive news about Jahdae Barron this training camp? That was after Ricky Pearsall basically toasted him, and there is a video out there of it, and the coverage looked pretty tight. But everything we've heard about Barron, like, it's just been a lot of talk, if that makes sense. So everybody says, like, yeah, he's good. But, when your coaches are players, it's preseason. They're not going to say anything negative about you. So I would love to see Barron go out tomorrow night. And I would love to see him actually, make plays in coverage. We've heard good things about him as a blitzer, and that's fantastic. But listen, we drafted him because last year our secondary completely fell apart without Riley Moss. Like, that is what happened, like point blank period. Now, I think Barron, I think he ultimately will be fine, especially being coached by Jim Leonard, especially with this very strong defensive ecosystem we have. So I think in October, we're going to be like, yeah, this dude's balling out, and he's everything we want him to be. But when you're playing multiple positions on a defense, when you're playing multiple positions and trying to learn multiple positions in a secondary, that's a very hard position for rookies to adapt to in the modern NFL. I don't know. He might be off to a little bit of a slower start than we were hoping for when we used the first round pick on him, but oh well, like such is life. But, he is one of those guys who could really, really improve his stock tomorrow because we hear all the great things about him. But we haven't heard all the great things about him in coverage yet, but I expect we will. I expect we will very soon. But yeah, 4 years ago, I remember Patrick Surtain against the Vikings. Don't you guys remember that? Pick 6, first preseason game.
Oh, man.
That would have me bricked
if
up.
that happens, then it's a very good omen. And I forgot this, man. We're not going to see any Matt Henningsen tomorrow. I think that he was kind of coming into this camp as a guy that was on the outside looking in. But yeah, tore his Achilles. Really unfortunate. I think Mark said in our Discord, he does have a mechanical engineering degree as well. So yeah, I guess he can be doing, some of that during his recovery. But man, too unfortunate, man, for Matt Henningsen, a brilliant guy. But I think that we were just a couple years removed from him, like being a spot starter on this team. So yeah, I think that we got enough talent to be okay. It's just unfortunate, and we'll probably see one of these other random guys that we signed get some reps here in the second half.
Mm-hmm. One guy I really would bet on to have a good game tomorrow on the defensive line, Yuma Awazarike. The coaching staff has been pumping his tires, and when you take a year off, I think, yeah, he took a year off. So, yes. He's not like, didn't something happen with his contract where it was like voided for a year and it got pushed back to like 2026? I don't know. Something weird happened with his contract.
Because of his suspension, it didn't count towards, that would make sense.
Yeah, but I really want to see Awazarike have a big game because he is, if I'm not mistaken, he is the biggest defensive lineman we have, right? He's 320 pounds.
Yeah.
We need to get more physical. We need to get bigger against those physical offensive lines, which, speaking of which, Rashawn Slater, mile high salute to you. Hopefully your recovery goes well And hopefully we get to see you back on the field next year, because ultimately I do think it's best for the game when the best players are playing, even if it is on a division rival. So hurt to hear that for our Charger bros out there in LA. But going back to Yoma Wazarike, I mean, there's just no reason. I see no reason with our defensive depth for the Broncos backup front seven, to not be super, super aggressive against Mac Jones and the 49ers trenches tomorrow.
Yeah. Awazarike, his thing has just always been his play intensity, his effort level. He has the natural talent and size to be great. Mentally, is he going to be bringing 110% on each snap? This is something it seems like he has turned the corner with a little bit of, just judging by like what we've heard from coaches say, as well as what reporters have said that have been there. Yeah, you got to see this happen on a game day situation now, seeing him with this heightened effort level. If he can show that this year, oh man, we're in such a good position with our 6 or 7 defensive linemen on the interior. And then Jordan Jackson, he had 2 sacks yesterday in the joint practice. Him and Wazarike might be fighting for that last spot if they only carry 6 defensive linemen. Savion Jones has also looked impressive. So seeing how these guys go up against the Niners, I don't know how much they're going to play their first string, but at the very least, you want to see them dominate this second string defensive line and, again, force some Mac Jones mistakes and turnovers.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm going to, sorry, Chet, for channeling some PTSD, but do you guys remember a 3rd-round pick out of Arkansas in 2020 named McTelvin Agim?
Dude, I totally forgot about him.
The reason I'm bringing him up is because I remember 3 years ago in the preseason against the Buffalo Bills, I remember we were playing them, and I remember our second string defensive line was just getting gashed and gashed and gashed and gashed. 7, 8, 9-yard runs from the Buffalo Bills. And I remember tweeting at Slayer Bettinger that game, even though I didn't cover the Broncos at the time. I remember I was like, McTelvin Agim is totally getting cut. And then he got cut the next day. But so there is nowhere to go. But how should I put this? Like, if we don't dominate in the trenches against the 49ers backup offensive line tomorrow, it could spell disaster for a lot of these guys that are fighting to make the team. But Wazarike in particular, I'm really excited to see him, because didn't you tell me in February that you were blasted off something and you watched every snap of Wazarike? And
yeah, I might have taken some gummies, and it was late at night. I said, you know what, I'm going to watch every snap this guy's taken this past year. I'm just going to go and do it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really interested to see what happens there. But, our defensive line is deep, like edge and defensive line. We are very, very stout, even with our backups. Like, we have more than 53 NFL caliber players on this roster. And a lot of those come in the D-line. A lot of them come in the edge room, because obviously we know how to make things work there. So I'm interested to see what happens there. Now with the linebacking core, I mean, is there anybody besides Bailey that you want to see ball out tomorrow night?
I mean, that I'm expecting to? No. Not at all. But, yeah, on the defensive side of things, another guy that I'm curious how he's going to perform, and somebody that I've absolutely shit on, has been in the secondary with Devin Key. We saw the depth chart come out a couple days ago, and he was still running with the 2s. Maybe I just got some issues that I can't really see it with Devin Key after being obliterated by the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, but maybe this is the year, man. Maybe this is the year Devin Key looks legit and somebody like JL Skinnerman gets cut. I'm not sure, but Damari Mathis, I think, have a lot to prove. And with the Niners having a shallow secondary, we might be able to work out a trade if Damari Mathis or Devin Key, man, balls out, one of these guys or one of our other depth secondary players. Maybe we just ship them to the 49ers, man, and then Respect My Co's will be happy about that, So we did get an awesome super chat from Matt going your way, Kodiak, for $20. He's saying, great work, brothers. Appreciate the content. Go Broncos. Super Bowl, baby. That's what I'm
man,
talking
Matt,
about.
I appreciate you because I've been doing this for a year now, and I finally got my first super chats, and the fact that you gave me $20 of your hard-earned cash, man, it feels surreal to me because I'm just some random kid who's 24 years old that works in some random restaurant that's just decided to hop in and start talking about the Broncos a year ago. So the fact that you did that for me, wow, I can't even describe it. That means the world to me. Thank you, Mac.
Yes, let's go. Thank you, Mac. Mac's been a day one in here, man. Always saying, stop saying we need to sign Michael Thomas. And I think, a year removed from me spamming Michael Thomas, I think Mac TV is right. So, and respect my co's bringing this up as well. We haven't even talked about special teams. We've talked about offense, defense. Let's talk about special teams. What are you looking forward to? What do you want to see out of these units?
Man, so last year we did have a good special teams unit. Like, by all accounts, our special teams was top 5 in DVOA. The problem was we still decided to fire our special teams coordinator because our special teams was so unclutch. Like, it's just the reality of the situation. I'm not going to bring up 3 certain plays that I'm remembering from last year, but that's what happened. Oh, thank you. I love that you love the documentary, Mac. I spent a lot of time on that, so appreciate you. But man, we're never going to be rooting for punts, are we? Like, obviously, we would love to see Bo Nix, Jared Stidham, Sam Ehlinger take the team down the field. And obviously, we would love to never punt the football, but that's not how football works. There's too much natural variation. So when you get a guy from Australia with an enormous leg, who by all accounts has a hang time of 5 or more on certain punts throughout training camp, we're going to be watching him very, very closely. And our special teams coordinator, Darren Rizzi, who was the Saints head coach last year, apparently he's one of the best in the business. So with Kotwika out the door, I want to hear Darren Rizzi. Also, I've been requesting Darren Rizzi at the podium for like 2 weeks for everybody that's like, hey, what do you want to see in Broncos camp today? I'm always like, request Darren Rizzi, ask him about Crawshaw, and they never will. So credential me.
Yeah, where the hell is the Kodiak Broncos credential? You don't got to worry about him getting any clear video, nothing like that. It's about time the Broncos open this thing up to get some real quality. Not throwing shade at anybody else, but I mean, I don't think there's anybody that would ask the questions you would ask in these pressers.
Oh, I would request Clay Webb for those one-on-one pressers. I would be like, man, you are such a dog. And I'd request his autograph right there on the spot. A.T. Perry, I'd request him for a presser. But I'd also request Darren Rizzi for a presser and be like, what did you see in Crawshaw? What are your meetings like? What's going on with your long snapper? Is he recovered from his injury? So, yeah, those are all the things that I really want to see tomorrow night. And what do you think? What are you feeling about the special teams? I also want to see the new kickoff. I want to see that come to fruition. I think it's going to be better this year because kickoffs or touchbacks now go to the 35, which – I mean, touchbacks going to the 35 is blasphemous, but
it's so dumb.
Yeah.
They're doing anything to just try and make sure teams are scoring points on like every drive, man.
Yeah.
So, I do got to say this. We led the league in 3-and-outs last year. Let's just make sure we don't have any 3-and-outs with Bo Nix, man, out there. I don't want to see any of that, but I want to see Crawshaw have some big booters, man. And I would love to see him put in a situation to where there's, you're trying to flip field position. I want to see him in that situation. And then I would also like to see him in some coffin corner situations where he's just trying to put it in there within the 10 or within the 5. So let's get him in some different situations to see what he can do. Not saying we necessarily punt on 3rd down, right? Like Bill Belichick did to us back in the day. But I want to make sure we manufacture some opportunities for him in game-like situations. And the same thing for Will Lutz. Rodney bringing this up. He was shank master yesterday. He shanked 3 to the left yesterday in the joint practice. That I'm feeling good about our team when it comes to like overall depth. Linebacker is just kind of the main question mark. Interior line, another question mark. With the starters, if Will Lutz, somehow just loses it going into this season, man, that is not good at all, man. Let's hope that he just worked that out, yesterday, so it's not an issue, but I would like to see him make, 2-3 field goals in this game. When we first signed him, I think he missed at least 1 or 2 field goals in his first game here. And then
Yeah,
after that, I feel like he was money.
Week 1 against the Raiders, 2023. Yeah, I remember that. And I remember we also did the surprise onside kick that game too. And then it got called back because of illegal touching.
I know.
So special teams was not good. But yeah, no, Will Lutz, like it's a little concerning. You hear bits and pieces, but nothing will simulate the pressure of an actual game situation. And pressure makes diamonds. Some guys just rely on that. Some guys, that's their internal mantra. So yeah, to be completely honest with Will Lutz, I don't know. What's our cause for concern? Like 1 through 10, what's your concern on Will Lutz right now?
I would say right now it's probably at like a 3.
Yeah.
So like it's just something that I'm monitoring, man. But I'm gonna be freaking out, man, if he misses one pretty bad tomorrow.
Oh yeah, if it's like a 39-yard chip shot and he hits the upright, like I'm gonna be a little concerned. And I imagine that we're gonna have a field day on Twitter the day after, and we're gonna be like, man, yeah, because kicking special teams is not something you want to think about. And if you are thinking about it, it's usually because your unit's doing a pretty poor job. But what I have thought about on special teams the past few years is Marvin Mims, the best returner in the league. Yeah, what is everybody coming at me with Cavante Turpin on Twitter, man?
Wait,
I know
what?
he's a good returner, but he's not Marvin Mims. I just want to throw that out there.
No, he's not. He's not. Marvin Mims is the best in the game. I mean, we'll see what Lajante Wester has to say about that. But
wow, I could not believe that. Are you? I just got to say, this is the first time you're coming on here, or I guess you made a video on your Buffs channel last night. But are you surprised at all with how he performed yesterday?
Nah, man. I thought he was the best overall receiver on the Buffs, like outside of Travis Hunter last year. So I was a little surprised that Jimmy was drafted ahead of him. I thought Will Shepherd would get drafted, and that didn't end up happening. But it seems like he's doing great for the Packers. But Lajante is like short area quickness and agility. What we saw yesterday, man, it was no surprise. So I think the Ravens got a good return guy. When they first drafted him, they came out and said like he's going to be a returner for us. That's going to be his main role to start out. And Again, they got like the ghost of DeAndre Hopkins there and like Tylan Wallace. He's got the ability to work his way up the depth chart too.
Yeah, it's not a team that it doesn't really invest in wide receiver a lot. Like I know they took Zay in the first round 2 years ago, but yeah, it's not a team that like they rely on their tight ends more than anything else in the passing game. But one thing we have not talked about, like transitioning to this, is the secondary. Like I know we've had a little bit of bits and pieces about Patrick Surtain and Jahdae Barron, but a guy who I also have not heard much about besides like maybe a week ago, we had heard good things about him. Chris Abrams-Drain, man, he's good enough. Last year he was very, very good in his spot starts. Like I don't know how Levi Wallace got the nod for him over Cleveland, to be completely honest. Like after in Cleveland's final 2 drives of the game, everything we had seen from Abrams-Drain was everything that we did not see from Riley Wallace. And man, that pick he got off of Herbert last year, I don't remember ever screaming so loud. I had the house to myself, and I scared my dogs when that happened. But, KAD, I'm hoping to see him play a lot tomorrow because I want to see how he's grown with Jim Leonard as the DB coach, and I want to see how he's grown in his second year in this defense.
Yeah, he might be that first guy off the bench when it comes to covering somebody on the outside. Spelling PS2 or Riley Moss. It's a great point, man. We have not really heard much from Chris Abrams-Drain. And like outside of our top 3 safeties now, I don't know how you feel about this. I forget if you're with Mark on this, but Mark said like a surprise cut could be PJ Locke. I guess we'll have to see how he looks with his new surgically repaired back with the spinal fusion. That's something to look out for as well. Like, does he look like he's moving? He was previous to this injury. It's insane that he was playing with this injury the entire year last year. You want to see him moving differently because if he doesn't necessarily look much different, we might have some issues on the back end if we have some injuries with Hufanga and Jones. Not necessarily feeling great if we got to throw out DTY and Devin Key back there to start a game at some point. So, yeah, Chris Abrams-Drain, though, yes. Let's see how he looks in coverage. And I think Rodney might have brought it up, or maybe it was Atomic. Probably the less we hear from these corners in tomorrow's game, the better.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And going back to PJ Locke real quick, I was his biggest critic in Broncos country. Like, for the last season, I have been his biggest critic but I wasn't really critical of Sternad, even though I think Sternad was an even bigger liability. But that's because he was never supposed to be in the position that he was last year. But PJ Locke, you compare that to him. Last year, he knew the entire year that he was going to get the chance to start. So that's something to monitor. Now, I don't know, like predicting injuries. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how he looks. I'm not credentialed, so I can't see how PJ Locke looks out there on the field or anything like that. But safety depth is a cause for concern, and rightfully so. Like, we didn't attack it in the draft or anything like that. We didn't attack it in a way that I would hoped that we would. But this is something that, hey, you draft Jahdae Barron, and this is a benefit to drafting him. Hufanga and Jones, if something happens to either of them, Barron can play the center field role, and the other guy can be the box. Like, Brandon Jones and Hufanga can both play in the box role. So that's not a benefit. And Jaquan McMillan, man, absolute stud. Absolute stud. So he's still going to be on the field a lot this upcoming year. A lot with the same time as Jahdae Barron. So, all those people that were, riding off Jaquan McMillan this offseason, seems like everything's all good on that front. Seems like nothing's really changed there.
Yes. I want to get to this too with the secondary. Rodney's saying, is D2Y a potential cut candidate? I think so.
I don't think he makes the team.
I think he's on the outside looking in when it comes to the secondary right now. But Sam Franklin, I think, was listed on like the third or fourth string on the initial depth chart. That's something to keep in mind, because I think we signed him to a pretty decent like special teams guy type deal.
Mm-hmm.
And you would like to see him elevate a little bit on that depth chart if we're paying him that money to play special teams. I don't necessarily think that his spot is a lock right now with where he showed up on that depth chart. So a lot of these guys got a lot to prove. We didn't even talk about the running backs, Kodiak. I'm just realizing that. I want to see us run hard. I imagine everybody's going to get carries, but this is going to be incredibly important for guys that are lower on the depth chart, like Audric Estime and Blake Watson. Your thoughts?
I was going to say, like, the one guy who I think needs to have I think the one guy this is the most important game for is Audric Estime, because obviously we had that stuff with Philip Lindsay at the starter camp, but Philip Lindsay, he's a guy who's been there, done that when it comes to climbing the depth chart at a running back position, and he didn't even have a draft pick attached to his name. Mm-hmm. The team didn't even have a jersey number when he came into the building. Now you compare that to Audric Estime, like, he has a draft pick. They had a jersey number for him, but he just didn't show up in the ways that we had hoped last year. That being said, like, after he was pouting at the start of camp, apparently he just ran a couple dudes over, and maybe that was his Terrell Davis moment. Terrell Davis on the kickoff in Tokyo absolutely lights a dude up after trying to find a flight home. Thank God nobody in that hotel spoke English or anything like that. But, Audric Estime, it's a very important game for him. I think he'll get every opportunity to succeed. I would not be surprised if he runs with the ones quite a bit tomorrow, just so they can see, like, all right, when this guy is in a starting ecosystem, can he contribute? And, yeah, I do think Audric is more on the hot seat than Jaleel. Like, I know Jaleel is not really that exciting of a running back, but Jaleel McLaughlin is probably what you want out of your third-string running back. So I think his spot is more safe than people are making it out to be, because Jaleel McLaughlin is kind of what you want out of your third-string running back. He gets 3 or 4 touches a game. He can make something happen. Audric Estime, he's more that guy. He's just like, I don't know, first, second down grinder, goal line potential savant. So we'll see right there.
Yeah, I would probably handle the running back position a little bit differently. But Sean Payton, I think, clearly likes Jaleel McLaughlin. I think that's very clear at this point. And, Tyler Bidet. I think that I haven't really been the biggest Tyler Bidet believer. He's got the chance to get me bricked up tomorrow, depending on how he performs. I think I would go to say that Audric is still more on the hot seat than Jaleel, like you said. And man, I just want to see Blake Watson freaking play, dude. He got off to such a good start in that one game. Was it against the Chargers where he had that, a nice little catch, but is like concussed on his first touch, and so then we never saw him the rest of the year again.
Yeah, the opening drive against the Chargers was magical, especially after he got like hit in the helmet and then had to get out of the game. So, yeah, I want to see Blake Watson tomorrow too, because I think preseason is one where an athletic specimen like him should show out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Estime, I think the thing with him is kind of similar to Wazirike. Like on altitude adjustment, I think they talked about this of like, do you have size that matters? Like size does matter, but it's like also how you're using it, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does the effort level look like with Estime? Are you physical? Are you bodying the defenders going after you? Are you pushing the pile? Are you continuing to move your feet? Are you playing bigger than your size, or are you playing smaller than your size? I think that's what we're going to be on the lookout for with Audric, is just his level of physicality, man. You want to see that. So I guess let's get into maybe some MVPs that we got. Do you have any MVP choices for tomorrow's game on the offensive side and the defensive side?
Well, based on what we have heard about our wide receiver this past offseason, based on what we've heard about him throughout training camp, man, it's hard for me to not go with Troy Franklin here. If Troy Franklin balls out tomorrow night, like, I don't know, Broncos country is going to be absolutely on fire because, yes, he struggled a lot last year. Still expected play out of a fourth-round pick. I get he wasn't a typical fourth-round rookie. That being said, I do think Troy Franklin is going to be my offensive MVP for tomorrow. If one guy really, really balls out in the later stages of the game, like if they give Caleb Lohner some opportunities and he catches 2 touchdowns, like, I don't know, that'd be absolutely fantastic. He'd be my MVP in that case as well. But on the defensive side of the ball, man, I'm looking to see Savion Jones, because he was drafted in the 3rd round for a reason, and he's going to have the added benefit of being fresh, being behind JFM, being behind Zach Allen. So Savion Jones, I'm expecting him to anchor the second team unit, and I'm expecting him to make Mac Jones' life hell.
I love it. I will agree with Atomic here. My offensive MVP is going to be Pat Bryant. I look forward to seeing him cook the Eli Apple-less Niners secondary. We'll see if Sam Ehlinger and company can get him the ball. I guess Jarrett Stidham we'll see a little bit from as well. But again, I expect most of these quarterback snaps to be handled by Sam Ehlinger. On the defensive side of the ball, I love your choice for Savion Jones. I think he has the opportunity to really show out. But I'm going to go with a little toast. I want to see Damari Mathis have the game of his life. Pick 6 for Damari Mathis off of Mac Jones. That's what I'm saying. So that's who I want to see. And I guess a special teams possible MVP, a guy that we could see on the return game would be Juwan Newton. I wouldn't be surprised to see him break a nice run.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. And Rodney brings up Jonah Ellis. Man, I'm curious to see how he's recovered from that shoulder, but apparently he's been absolutely destroying stuff in training camp. So yeah, if Jonah Ellis can make an impact player too, could spell really, really well for his chances at being a key contributor on this Broncos defense, not just a role player, but potentially a first, second down edge guy. Cooper Benito need a break. Don't matter. Throw Jonah Ellis out there or something like that.
Yeah, I think that Jonah Ellis, he should show to be a starting level player, man. I think this preseason, that's what you want to see out of him. And I think that was the expectation with picking him in the 3rd round last year. Shai Vargas saying, I see the MVP being Bo Nix. Hey, if we could get like a 5 of 6 for 70 yards and a touchdown, then you can pull him out. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. MVP status right there. Only one drive needed.
Yeah, to be completely honest, like I think Nick's, one drive. That's basically all you need. Don't risk your quarterback. Don't put him in jeopardy. That being said, I still want to see the starters run with Stidham. Like I don't. That's not me to say that Stidham should be given like a serious chance to be the starter or anything like that. But it's a young offense. It's one that needs clicking. So second series, yank Nix, throw Stidham in there, but keep everybody else out there. Keep the O-line, keep Mims, I don't really think Sutton's going to play all that much, but keep Franklin, keep the young wide receivers out there, keep Harvey out there. Give them every chance they have to learn the offense, to pick up the offense, because they just need reps at this point.
No doubt. Kodiak, thank you for previewing this week 1 preseason matchup. I mean, I love the fact that we got the ability to feel pumped right now about preseason. This is the second year in a row where there's like real excitement around preseason. There's a lot of great young players to keep an eye on. Also, people need to be subscribed to your channel. So what do you got coming up on the channel for Kodiak Broncos Podcast?
Well, I do make a lot of YouTube shorts, and if you want something that's like quick hitting, like good Broncos content, then check those out. But now that the season's starting again, I will do like more of my typical style, which is like 10 to 20 minute videos. If you want something that's just easy to watch and to listen to, then hop over to my channel on Kodiak Broncos Podcast. Also, check me out on TikTok at Kodiak Broncos Podcast. But more importantly, check out that guy on TikTok, David Talks Sports.
Hey, that's right. We're at like 117 followers, baby, on David Talks Sports _ on TikTok. Yeah, mainly just posting like highlight reels and some like voiceovers and pissing off Chiefs fans, saying that, this is our year to win the division, man. I believe it. The Chiefs are saying that themselves. So, man, I appreciate it. But guys, I want to thank everybody in the chat. Shy, Rodney, Atomic, Mac. We had so many people in here. Sorry if I'm missing you. Andy, you guys are what makes this fun. And we'll be back, whether it's together on Horsepower Hour on Monday night or before then on our individual channels to break down our takeaways from the game. So again, y'all be sure to be subscribed and hit that bell for notification. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday. Shedeur Sanders, QB1. Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.